What's up, everybody? You watching Sports World. Today I'm bringing you a video with the top 10 forwards of all time. At number 10, we starting with Karl Malone. 10 times Karl Malone was top 5 in MVP voting. It's hard ranking Malone because his whole career he played with a top 5, top 6 point guard of all time. Malone was considered one of the best players in the league, and he played against Magic Johnson, Kareem and the Lakers in the playoffs, and every game led both teams in scoring or tied for most points. 4 times he led the teams in rebounds, and in 1992 made it to his first Western Conference Finals, but the Trailblazers had too much firepower. 2 years later, made it back to the Western Conference Finals, but couldn't get past Hakeem and the Rockets and was outplayed by Hakeem. Karl Malone the next season, 1995, was beat by Hakeem again in the first round after averaging 30 on them. 1996, he loses to Seattle in the Western Conference Finals. It goes 7 games. Karl Malone doesn't play so well in Game 7, 22 points shooting 36%. Next year, Malone wins MVP and goes to the finals and loses to Jordan and plays under his level again. 1998, he plays an older Rockets team, beats them, plays a young Spurs team, beats them, and then plays a young Shaq and Kobe in the Western Conference Finals and swept them. Now he's in the finals again against Jordan with the same results. Karl Malone wins his second MVP in 1999. In the next 5 seasons, he wins a total of 13 playoff games and gets to the second round twice. 2003-2004 season, he joined Kobe and the Shaq Lakers and ended up losing in the finals against Detroit and Malone. He clearly wasn't the same player. Now we got Charles Barkley. 11-time All-NBA. 1-time MVP, 1-time rebounding champ, and 8 times top 6 in MVP voting. Charles Barkley was drafted in 1984. His first 3 seasons, he had a good team that won the finals just years before he joined Moses Malone and Julius Erving. So it's only right that he made the playoffs. But by year 2, Charles Barkley was the best player on the playoff team, and just his second year led the whole playoffs in rebounding. 16 a game and averaged 25 points shooting 58%. Charles Barkley missed the playoffs his 4th year with no Julius Erving or Moses Malone, who left 2 years earlier. Then he makes the playoffs again in 1989, and he was swept by Patrick Ewing's Knicks after averaging 27, 12, and 5 shooting 64%. Charles Barkley makes the playoffs again, and his career goes like this. Second round loss to Jordan 1990. Second round again lose to Jordan 1991. Misses the playoffs 1992 and is traded to the Phoenix Suns 1992-93. He wins the MVP and leads his team to the finals, but he has to face Michael Jordan again. I'm getting here that it ain't no shame, bro. It's no shame losing to Michael Jordan. He the best player ever. Charles Barkley go to the playoffs again 93-94 season. He averages 37 and 13 against the Warriors, but it don't mean much because it was the first round. But the next round he loses to Hakeem, and that was one of his worst playoff series ever. Next year, 94-95, same thing. Averaged 34-14 against the Blazers. Then meets Hakeem again and had his worst playoff series again. Next year, he plays the Spurs and loses the first round 96-97 season. He went to play with Hakeem and was out of his prime, and they couldn't really get it done. Now we got Kevin Garnett. 4-time rebounding champ. An NBA champ, 9-time All-NBA, 12-time All-Defensive, 1-time MVP, 1-time Defensive Player of the Year. Kevin Garnett has 5 seasons finishing in the top 5 in MVP voting. KG's career went like this. Fresh out of high school in 1995, decent rookie year, he averaged 10 and 6 with 2 blocks and a steal. Second year, he became an All-Star. And it wasn't until 1998-99 when KG was recognized as a top 10 player in the league. He played the Spurs that year in the first round and eventually lost. KG the next 4 years, he loses in the first round, averaging 23 and 14 and a block and a half for those 4 playoff runs. KG wins the MVP in 2004 and gets out of the first round for the first time in 7 years. He gets to the conference finals, but he lost to the Lakers, and that was the top 3 team all time. And they have 2 of the 8 best players of all time. KG then, he missed the playoffs the next 3 years, and he's still a top 10 player in the league. but he teams up with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen in 2007. That year, he came third in MVP race, and he won Defensive Player of the Year. That season, KG went from taking 18, 19 shots to just having to take open shots and just playing defense and locking down teams. He played well in the finals. He averaged 18 points and 13 rebounds, led every game in rebounds. Garnett could have easily won Finals MVP for the way he played defense, and he was more consistent than Paul Pierce, especially on both sides of the ball. Yeah, but Garnett's offense peaked, and he was just considered one of the best defensive players now. It wasn't one of the best offensive players. Next couple years, he made a finals, but then after that, it was just downhill. At number 7, we got Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk was 12-time All-NBA, got a championship, a Finals MVP, and he got a regular season MVP. He was top 5 in MVP voting 3 times. Dirk played 21 seasons and wasn't considered as one of the best players in the league until year 4 when he became an All-Star. He made the playoffs his 3rd year. It took Dirk 5 years to make a conference finals. When he got to the Western Conference, he suffered a knee injury after 3 games, and the Mavericks refused to let him play in the series. The next time Dirk finds himself in the Western Conference Finals is 2006. He's going against the teammate who helped him make the Western Conference Finals years before in Steve Nash. And Steve Nash got Boris Diaw when he was balling. Dirk then averages 28 and 13 and goes to winning in 6. Now Dirk finds himself in his finals for the first time. He plays 2 horrible games with a couple mediocre games and is eliminated. The next year he wins MVP and is eliminated in the first round. Dirk in 2011 has one of the best playoff runs ever. He beats the Blazers, next goes on to sweep the Lakers, and beats OKC in a gentleman's sweep. That's 4-1. And then he beats the top 5 greatest team ever. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and the Miami Heat. At number 6, we got KD. This will be the most controversial person on the list, bro. Y'all gonna be like, yo, why is he at 6, bro? Y'all better put him at 3 or 2 or something like. But KD is 10-time All-NBA, 4-time scoring champ, 2-time champion, 2-time Finals MVP, and he got a regular season MVP. He was top 5 in MVP voting 6 times. KD came into the league and showed signs that he can be one of the greatest scorers ever. He averaged 20 points his first year and 25 his second year, and by his 3rd year, he was second in MVP voting. He also made it to the playoffs for his first time in his career in his 3rd year and averaged 25. He had a bad series, but it was his first series ever, and he played against the eventual champions in the Lakers. His 4th year, he led his team to the Western Conference Finals, then lost to the eventual champions again in the Dallas Mavericks. KD had a great playoff run, leading the whole playoffs in points per game. KD the next year lead his team to the finals only to lose to the Heat. 2012-2013, KD loses to the Grizzlies in the second round. Next year, KD wins his first MVP and is back in the Western Conference Finals and loses in 6 games to the Spurs. KD's been in the league 7 years and has already led his team to 3 conference finals. The next year, KD is injured. 2015-16, Durant is back and he is in the Western Conference Finals again for the 4th time in 9 seasons. 2016 faces the Golden State Warriors in the conference finals and he is up 3-1 with a chance to go to the finals. Game 5, Durant has 40 points but is shooting 12 of 31, 38%. Game 6, 10 of 31, 29 points. Game 7, decent game, but it wasn't good enough. 27 points shooting, 10 of 19. Next season, he joins the Warriors. The next 2 years, Durant averages 29 in the playoffs and is the best player on the Warriors team. 2017, Durant faces LeBron in the finals again and averages 35 and 8, shooting 55%. 2018, it's a rematch between LeBron and KD. This time, Bron has no Kyrie, but KD still averages an easy 29 and 10. Durant and the Warriors find themselves in the playoffs again, but Durant suffers multiple injuries. Durant then leaves Golden State, goes to Brooklyn, and has yet to get out the second round. Durant's career is still going, and I know he could get higher on his list, but so far, this is where I have him at. At number 5, we got Giannis. 5-time All-Defense, 6-time All-NBA, a Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time regular season MVP, an NBA champion, and he has a Finals MVP. Of this generation, Giannis is the second or third best two-way player, only behind Tim Duncan and LeBron. Giannis has been in the league 9 seasons, 6 times top 7 in MVP voting, 4 times top 4 in MVP voting. Giannis didn't become Giannis until 2016-17. That year he went to the playoffs and showed that he could be dominant a little. It wasn't until 2019 when he won his first MVP and got out the first round and went to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost. The Raptors thought they found a way to stop him, building the wall. This was Giannis' second worst series ever, averaging 23 points, 14 boards, shooting 45%. That just tells you how good this man is. The next year, Giannis wins another MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year. Only one of 3 players have ever done this. He finds himself in the second round against Miami. Giannis injured his knee after going down 0-3 and having a bad series against the Miami Heat and the Wall. Giannis the next year beats a kinda hobbled Miami team, then beat Brooklyn while KD was at his apex. The series went 7 games, and in Game 7, Giannis outplayed KD. Fourth quarter, Durant scored 14 points though, including a turnaround jumper that we thought was game, and 8 straight points in 2 minutes. Giannis scored 7 points in the fourth quarter, and when they got to overtime, we seen that Durant couldn't make any shots and wasn't able to guard Giannis. Durant missed 6 straight shots and even a layup when they needed points in overtime. Giannis locked KD up, got the bucket to tie the game with a minute left, and Brooklyn couldn't score another point. Giannis then faces Atlanta and beat them after Trae Young stepped on a ref's foot, and then faces Phoenix in the finals and what happened to be one of the 5 best finals performances ever by a player. He averaged 35, 13, and 5 after hyperextending his knee and looking like he was going to miss a whole season or a couple months of basketball, and then he wins Finals MVP. And the next year, his second best player goes down, and he averages 34 and 15 in the second round against the same team that swept Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant's numbers against this team wasn't so well. It was 26, 6 and 6, and he shot 38%. And they both barely had help. And I can argue KD had more help than Giannis at this point. At number 4, we got Julius Erving. Julius Erving was a 3-time champion, 2-time Finals MVP in the ABA, 12-time All-NBA and All-ABA, 1-time All-Defense, and 9 years top 5 in MVP votes. Julius Erving started off his career with the Virginia Squires, and from the time he first stepped into the league, he was one of the best players in the league. He played his first season with Charlie Scott, who averaged 35 and was also one of the best players. Charlie Scott left the ABA and joined the NBA the same season. Julius Erving, without Charlie Scott, led the Squires to the Eastern Divisional Finals. His first season, he averaged 38 and 19, and in the Eastern Divisional Finals, averaged 30 and 21, and in Game 7, outplayed Rick Barry and the Nets, but lost in 7. His sophomore season, 1972-73, he came in second in MVP voting, but lost in the first round. In 1973-74, he is traded to the New York Nets and wins MVP. He finds himself in the finals against the Utah Stars after only 3 years in the league, and easily is the best player on the floor. Beats them in 5 games, averaging 28 and 11. The next season, he wins his second MVP, but loses in the Eastern Divisional semifinals. Julius Erving now, 1975-76, wins his third MVP and is in the finals again. This time he goes for 38, 14, and 5 a game to win it in 6. Next year, the 76ers bought out Erving's contract and he joined the 76ers. 1976-77, his first year, Julius, Doug Collins, and George McGinnis goes to the finals but loses after Julius is putting up 37 and 5. It takes Julius 3 years to get back, but eventually loses to the Lakers with Kareem and Magic the next year, 1980-81. Julius wins his 4th and last MVP. His next year, he makes it back to the finals and loses again to the Lakers. 1982-83, he's back in the finals, but this time he with a man named Moses Malone, and this time he sweeps the Lakers. At number 3, we have Larry Bird. Larry Bird is 10-time All-NBA, 3-time All-Defense, 3-time MVP, and 2-time Finals MVP. 9 seasons he was top 4 in MVP voting. Bird, his second year, led his team to the finals and his second in MVP voting, but he had his worst playoff series ever, only averaging 15 points and grabs 15 boards a game. They still win the series, but Bird came in second in MVP voting in the next 2 years, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals once more. Bird then wins MVP and leads his team back to the finals. Larry Bird has a bad Game 7, but still manages to pull out the win, scoring 20 points on 33% shooting. The next year he wins his second MVP and takes his team back to the finals, but loses the finals in 6 games against the Lakers again. Next year, Bird wins another MVP and goes back to the finals, and he beats the Rockets in 6, averaging 24, 10, and 10. Larry Bird the next year goes back to the finals only to lose to the Lakers again. Larry Bird at his prime was one of the 2 best players in the league for 7 straight years and won 3 titles in 7 years, been to 5 conference finals in 7 years. At number 2 we have Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is a 15-time All-NBA, 15-time All-Defense, 3-time Finals MVP, 2-time regular season MVP, and 5-time NBA champion. Tim Duncan is top 2 because of his longevity and because of the way he was able to play offense and defense. Defense his whole career. Offense really his first 12, and he was really one of the best scorers in the league at that time. But Tim Duncan has 9 seasons finishing top 5 in MVP voting. His first year, he was an All-Star, 5th in MVP voting. His second year, led his team to the finals while beating KG and Shaq and averaged 27 and 14 to win his first finals. The next year, didn't play in the playoffs due to a meniscus tear in 1999-2000 season. The next 2 years, he loses to Shaq and Kobe's Lakers, once in the second round, once in the third round. Finally wins the MVP 2001-2002 season. Next season, 2002-2003, he wins back-to-back MVPs and beats Kobe and Shaq and Dirk to get back to the finals. He beats the Nets in 6 games, averaging 27 and 17 to win his second ring and second Finals MVP. The next year, he loses in the second round. Tim Duncan comes back 2004-2005 season, goes back to the finals. He plays the last year's champions and averages 21, 10, and in Game 7 scored 25 points with 11 rebounds and wins Finals MVP for the 3rd time. The next year, 2005-2006, he gets put out in the second round to Dirk while averaging 32 and 12, and in Game 7, Tim Duncan scored 41 points and 15 boards, shooting 50%. 2006-2007, this was Tim Duncan's last year being really a top 5 offensive player and defensive player. He shifted more to defense and wins another championship against the Cavaliers. The next 7 years, Tim Duncan is still one of the best defensive players in the league and goes to the conference finals 4 out of 7 years and is in the finals twice. 2013, he loses his first finals ever to the Miami Heat in a crazy shot by Ray Allen in 7 games. The next year, 2014, the Spurs beat the Heat in 5 games in the finals. Tim Duncan is the best defensive player to never win a Defensive Player of the Year. And in his prime, he was unstoppable offensively, bro. At number 1, we have LeBron James. LeBron James is a scoring champ, an assist champ, 4-time NBA champ, 18-time All-NBA. He has 6 All-Defensive teams, 4-time MVP, and 4-time Finals MVP. LeBron 14 times has finished top 5 in MVP voting. He was one of the best players in the league as a rookie, made the playoffs his 3rd year, and his first ever playoff series averaged 36, 8, and 6. He finds himself in the second round, but lost to the Detroit Pistons in 7 games. LeBron's first ever Game 7, he dropped 27 points, shooting 11 of 24, and only one player gave him 10 points on his team. His second year in the playoffs, 2006-2007, a 22-year-old LeBron leads his team to the finals, only to lose to Tim Duncan. Next year, loses to the Celtics in 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, and in Game 7 drops 45 points and 13 points in the 4th quarter. 2008-2009, LeBron wins his first MVP and leads his team to the Eastern Conference Finals against Dwight Howard and the Magic, he averaged 39, 8, and 8, and loses in 6 games. Next year, he wins back-to-back MVPs and gets put out by Boston. LeBron then joins the Heat with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. The Heat make the finals, and LeBron has his worst series ever, averaging 18, 7, and 6. After losing this series in 6 games, LeBron wins regular season MVP and makes it back to the finals and has to face KD and company. LeBron beats them in 5 games and wins finals MVP in his first finals. Next year, LeBron wins MVP for the 4th time and is back in the finals against the Spurs. Game 7, LeBron's go 37 and 12, in which they win, and LeBron gets finals MVP again. LeBron the next year faces the Spurs in the finals. Again, Dwayne Wade and Bosh are not themselves. They both average 15, Dwayne Wade, and 14, Chris Bosh in that finals. LeBron loses this series in 5, and then he goes back to Cleveland. He takes the 2014-15 Cavaliers, where they had no Kyrie. He averaged 36, 13, and 9, shooting 40% in the finals. The next year, LeBron is back in the finals, but this time he got a healthy team. He is down 3-1 to the Warriors. Game 5, LeBron drops 41 and 16 boards, 7 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Game 6, drops 41 again with 11 assists and 8 boards. Game 7, doesn't have his best scoring game, only has 27, but he had 11 rebounds, 11 assists with 3 blocks and 2 steals. One of the most complete games ever to win his 3rd finals and 3rd finals MVP. 2016-17, the next year, goes back to the finals, averages 34, 12, and 10, and loses in 5. He goes back to the finals again the next year, 8 consecutive finals appearances, doesn't have Kyrie. He scores 50 in his first final games, but gets swept by the Warriors. LeBron then joins the Lakers, misses the playoffs after getting injured during the season. The next year, he gets Anthony Davis and is back in the finals, averaging 30, 12, and 9 to beat his old team, the Miami Heat, with Jimmy Butler. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'm always coming to you with more videos.